Well, Greg, thank you. Thanks for the introduction and greetings, everybody. I appreciate you joining today's session. And man, what a great job uh, this has been this morning. Just some great presentations I've personally enjoyed. Before I move on to the slide presentation, I would like to share a little bit of information with you. I have spent my entire career focused on maintenance and trying to improve equipment reliability. For the last 8.5 years, I've been with Polaris Laboratories. And if you're not aware, Polaris Laboratories is a leading global provider of oil, coolant, fuel, grease, filter debris analysis. And prior to Polaris, I had over 30 years experience in heavy equipment maintenance, maintenance management, and improving business processes regarding maintenance. And I've had the opportunity to work in several different countries. I've had the great opportunity to work with some of the best people in the industry, some really talented folks, and to learn from them. And it's also offered a long career of learning from my mistakes and my successes. And early on in my career, I was absolutely convinced that the key to improving equipment reliability lied within the data. That's where the answers were. And so I was collecting all the data I could collect. And unfortunately, much of this data was segmented. It was compartmentalized. It was in different platforms, different files, different locations. If I wanted to look at my vibration analysis, I'd have a platform to go to. If I wanted to look at thermal imaging, I had another platform I needed to access, and ultrasound, and the list goes on. If I wanted to download from the equipment, it would require me to go out to the equipment, shut it down, hook up a laptop, perform a download, bring that back to the office. I had it in an Excel, I had it in Access, I had it in paper, hard copies in a file cabinet. And it just became so overwhelming that I somewhat lost focus of what the real goal was. And along that entire time, a little over 38 years now in the career, I have always incorporated fluid analysis, mostly oil analysis, into that data that I found of such great value. And one of the reasons I was so dedicated to the oil analysis side is it was just simply a proven science that gave us the earliest indications of when something was going wrong, whether it be wear of the equipment or whether it be lubricant condition. So I found great value in that. Today, I still believe all the answers to improving reliability lies within the data, but I realized that it is so important to integrate that data into a single platform where you're seeing the bigger picture and then the ability to drill down and understand exactly what's going on and taking action on the data that's revealed. When we talk about reliability, and especially equipment reliability, we're really trying to make sure that we're achieving what the equipment was designed and planned to do for the life of the equipment without breakdowns. And the only way we can do that is to look into historical data and real-time data and take action to make repairs before a critical breakdown occurs. So I do want to mention that many of you are probably already looking at lots of data sets, and many of you perhaps have started an integration process. Each of you are probably at different parts of that journey. But as we work clockwise around this diagram, in our CMMS, we probably have, we're probably doing our planning and our scheduling. We have work order history. And work order history is such an important part of your data. I do want to mention It's just such a great source to go back when you realize a problem's occurring and see what maintenance activities you took in the past. It's a great source to look at your mean time between failures, your mean time to repair, which helps out so greatly as we do planning and scheduling. Other data sources may be coming from vibration. The great things today about telematics and onboard sensors, and we have thermal imaging or ultrasound. We also have operator or mechanic inspections that are taking place, all great sources of data. But the real question is, how many of you have considered integrating your fluid analysis data into a single platform and being able to compare that with other data sets? Now, I want to mention that when you integrate data and you have it in a single platform, which we're going to talk about, you may then elect to separate it out slightly within a single platform, but different modules. Now, it's just some quick examples of that. Maybe you want a module for vehicle location, operator statistics, and operator statistics, by the way, today are just absolutely amazing. They do much more time than tell you how long an operator's been behind a wheel or at their station in a plant industrial, but technology today lets us know whether the operator is getting fatigued and tired or falling asleep at the wheel. Just amazing. If you're in mining or aggregates, perhaps you're wanting to track load times and idle time and asset health. And it's this asset health module, if you will, that I really want to concentrate on today. And I'm going to walk you through some examples. And the examples that I'm going to share with you today are from mobile equipment in a mining industry. And you may ask, why did I select that? Well, we've got people from every industry you can imagine attending today, and it's only a 20-minute presentation, so I had to pick one. And it's in the mobile equipment and especially mining that I find has the most compartmentalized sets of data that they're retrieving and looking at in different platforms. And I just want to show you how to bring all that together. And regardless what industry you are in, I ask that you stick with me through this and start thinking about what sets of data are you currently collecting that would fall into the scenario I'm going to show you, and the value it would offer towards your reliability goals and journey if you were to integrate those in a single platform. So just imagine for a minute if you were sitting at your computer and you were looking at your CMMS system as an example, and in a single view on a dashboard, you could get a high-level view of the overall fleet health and availability. And in this example, I show that overall fleet health and availability is at 89%. It also shows that overall fleet down for maintenance currently at this moment in time that I'm looking is at 2%. And it also shows that my overall fleet at risk is at 9%. Now with a simple click of a button, I can click on overall fleet at risk, and then I can see by asset type what is at risk. When I look at haul trucks, I can see my haul truck health and availability is at 91%. Haul trucks currently down for maintenance is 3% of the fleet, and haul trucks at risk are at 6%. My loaders, loader health and availability is 87%. I don't currently have any of them down for maintenance, but I do have 13% of my loaders at risk. If I look at dozers and crushers, everything's looking real good. They're all up, they're running, nothing appears to be at risk. So if I'm a maintenance manager, a maintenance planner, these loaders would be of great concern to me with 13% at risk, and I would want to understand why the system triggered that these loaders are at risk of not performing their job as we had planned for them to do. With a click of a button, I can see which loaders are at risk. On the left, I can see the unit number or asset number. LO40-406 is at risk, and LO40-410 is also at risk. If I look to the far right of the screen, I can see all the methods that I'm collecting data on, and of those methods, which ones have identified or triggered, if you will, why they are at risk. So for this example, I'm going to click on Unit 406, and I quickly notice that 406 is at risk, and of all the data that I'm collecting, one, it's at risk for an oil analysis severity 4 report. That oil analysis severity report has shown me that coolant contamination exists and engine oil viscosity is high. But I also have some other data sets that are coming in. I have a driver's report from his walk-around report that morning that has been electronically integrated into my CMMS, that the driver reported that the coolant level is low in the loader. I also have onboard sensors that have triggered faults to show low coolant and that the engine temperature is high. Now, if we were to take any of these reports individually, compartmentalized, I've logged into a platform to look at my oil analysis reports, and sure enough, that oil analysis report for Unit 406 has showed an indication of sodium and potassium on the oil sample. It's a sure indication that you've got glycol, you have a coolant leak entering the engine. Now, several things happen if I'm just looking at the oil analysis reports. In the real world, maybe you just didn't have an opportunity to log into the platform and look at oil analysis today. Maybe you've been out for a few days and nobody else was monitoring it. And when you get back, you're just so overwhelmed with the number of reports that you just skim through them quickly and things get missed. As a maintenance manager, I might look at this oil analysis report and I might question it. I might say, well, you know, was the sample contaminated when the technician pulled the sample? You might say, you know, I want to monitor this for a bit longer and see what the trending looks like. Maybe a very valid thing to do. If we look at the equipment download from the sensors, and here I can clearly see we have multiple faults of coolant level low, engine temperature high. Again, if I look at this, I might question it to say, well, you know, those sensors on occasion do mess up and they report a false positive. I might look at it and say, well, when I look at the date ranges here and the time stamps, I know this is capturing every minute, and you know, they're kind of scattered. Maybe it's not as big of a problem as I think it is. Again, I'm just going to let it go for a while. If I look at the operator inspection report, and on this inspection report for this day, the operator clearly identified that the coolant level was low and they had to add 2 gallons of coolant. Again, if I'm just looking at it by itself, I can start to question the data. I can start thinking, you know, that operator has a tendency of always having something wrong and always writing something up on his inspection reports. I might look at it and say, well, he added 2 gallons, so we're good. We'll just let it go and see what happens tomorrow. But folks, just imagine the great value that's provided in making informed maintenance decisions if you're now viewing all this data on a single platform at the same time, because we simply clicked that Unit 406 was at risk and why is it at risk. And being able to integrate this where I have the oil analysis report, the downloads from the sensors, and the equipment inspection from the operator that morning. Does this not provide such more data-rich information so that you can make those informed maintenance decisions and think, Yes, we absolutely need to get this into the shop before a problem occurs. Another great thing about this is imagine in your CMMS system, the ability when you see this data to click and auto create a work order request. So powerful, makes it so easy and simple. But let's take this one step further and now imagine that it doesn't require a maintenance planner or a maintenance manager to sit in the CMMS and observe these things that are happening. But as we move forward with machine learning and we train our systems to say, based on all the historical data we have in the system, to say, all right, anytime you see these combined issues, go ahead and automatically create a work order. You don't have to wait for somebody to view it and click create work order. And it just provides just so much capability and enhanced reliability with our equipment. Also imagine that if I was able to click on task here, that it's already going to head me in the right direction. It's going to include the job instructions that will be attached to the work order. And as we do more machine learning, it will also guide you to what the historical data has proved the fault to be when those combined data sets exist. It'll lead you to the likelihood of what the actual problem is and can show you things like the parts that are required to do the repair, link it to the warehouse to see if those uh, needed parts are on file and the tools required. And if you don't have the parts on hand, to be able to place an order right within the system with a click of the button. And it really just provides such huge value. Now, if we go back and look at the three things that were combined here, if we were to study these a little bit deeper, we would see, in fact, in this scenario, in this example, that fluid analysis report actually gave us our very earliest indication of something that was going wrong. And if we look through statistics and all the data that appears, and if we see over and over again that as soon as I see sodium and potassium in my engine oil, and the next step would be faults being triggered, it not only provides confidence and the validation of the individual test methods that you're doing, uh, if a failure was to occur, it just offers just think about what it does for a cause and effect diagram that you might be preparing because of the failure. And all your information is right here within this data. You take what the oil analysis report has shown along with the fault codes, and you can easily fill in all the blocks of your cause and effect diagram and understand root cause much easier and drill down to that. And so just some great advantages all the way around as we start looking at integrating data. Now, there's a lot of value here. View all the data from a single source, make informed maintenance decisions, submit sample data even right from your CMMS, and no longer a need to log into your analysis platform and submit sample data there. The ability to auto-create work orders and fluid analysis results and additional metrics just being right there at your fingertips. Folks, this isn't something that's sci-fi that we're looking at being available in the next 10 years. It's available today. If you want to integrate your fluid analysis data, talk to your laboratory. With Polaris Laboratories, we refer to this as Data Connect, free service. It's available today. Regardless who you're using for your fluid analysis laboratory, I encourage you, contact them today, contact them this week, and just let them know I'm really interested in taking the first steps of integrating my fluid analysis data with my CMMS or perhaps some other platform, and begin that conversation. It's much easier than you think. I know in my career, when you start, especially in my early days, when I started thinking about integrated data, a lot of questions come up. Well, it's going to be too expensive to do. I simply don't have the time to commit to the integration. Uh, a key one was always, I'm not going to my IT department and telling them I want to do integration, because I already know what their answer will be. They're going to tell me, no, we don't allow data from an outside source brought into our CMMS because there's security concerns. But folks, today, with the APIs, application programming interface, those security concerns are alleviated greatly. It makes it so simple because the data is just put out to the API, and we're not pushing information into your system. You're just simply reaching out to the API and drawing the information in and integrating it. Uh, Many of you perhaps have decided for condition monitoring, you don't want to do that within your CMMS because you've went with a third-party provider. Maybe that's a provider of your vibration or thermal imaging or ultrasound, and they already have a great platform developed for condition monitoring, and you just need to integrate the fluid analysis data into that platform. When you have that conversation with your oil analysis, your laboratory, just simply mention that to them. I'm already working with this company. They have a great platform for us. It's not a problem. Get your laboratory talking with your other service providers, and that API and the information can just as easily be shared with that service provider with your permission as well. And they can integrate it and make that your primary platform for condition monitoring. So I may be a little fast here in my presentation and not quite taking up all my time, but perhaps that's a good thing too, because I want to leave plenty of time for questions.